Today on Rappler, VP Bet Leni Robredo admits there's not enough time to form an anti-Duterte alliance. The Commission on Elections in Region 12 declares 10 municipalities election areas of concern. And Senator Alan Peter Cayetano hits TV network ABS-CBN for airing the anti-Rodrigo Duterte ad. Hello and welcome. I'm Natasha Gutierrez. We come to you live from the Rappler News Center. This is your top-of-the-hour update for the run-up to the 2016 Philippine elections. 2 days to go before the elections. Liberal Party Vice Presidential Bet Leni Robredo admits there's not enough time to form an alliance against presidential frontrunner Davao City Mayor Rodrigo Duterte. Robredo says she lauds Secretary Mar for reaching out to Senator Grace Poe and Vice President Judge Mar Binay. In a surprise announcement Friday, Rojas called on Poe to talk for the unity of our country. The president himself called for other presidential candidates to unite against Duterte. Poe and Binay dismissed the proposal.
Right? But the one that is specific to you is about Bongbong Marcos saying that there is a plan by the Liberal Party that if Duterte wins, if Leni wins, that they would impeach Duterte so that Leni can become president.
Yeah, that's unfortunate because first of all, there is no such plan. Until now, the party is doing everything it can to make sure that it will be Secretary Mar and me who will win in the best way possible. When I say trying everything we can, yung tama lang. I have been through so many elections, and I can say to anyone straight on the face that I'd rather lose than win an elections rigged with so many anomalies. I think Senator Bongbong was trying to court the support of Mayor Duterte supporters, but it's unfortunate that he had to use me. There is no such conspiracy. I've always told people that while I would have wanted my own president to win, it's part of the job description that anyone who wins the presidency should have my utmost commitment. If I become vice president, the level of commitment that I'm prepared to give Secretary Mar should be exactly the same level of commitment that I should give Mayor Duterte or Grace Poe or Vice President Binay should they win the presidency. Kaya I don't know where this is coming from.
The Commission on Elections in Region 12 declares 10 municipalities as election areas of concern. In Sultan Kudarat, President Quirino Bagumbayan, Isulan, Senator Ninoy Aquino, Columbio, Lebac, Calamansig, and Palembang, and in Sarangani, Glan, and Kiamba. Comelec Region 12 Director Francisco Pobe says the move was based on the assessment conducted by police and military. Pobe says they are concerned with the Bangsamoro Islamic Freedom Fighters in Sultan Kudarat, former members of the Moro Islamic Liberation Front, and several private armed groups. Pobe adds it's mainly for precautionary purposes due to confirmed presence of armed groups and the intense political rivalries. Senator Alan Peter Cayetano hits TV network ABS-CBN for airing the anti-Rodrigo Duterte ad paid by fellow vice presidential candidate Antonio Trillanes, calling it, quote, illegal and immoral.
Senator Trillanes basically got a waste basket and got trash out of it and used the trash as a propaganda against Mayor Duterte and then put our constitution, put all the laws in the trash. And the problem is, you know, the type of reporting we got by one particular network was really disgusting. I mean, in the debate, instead of saying fire upon me, they said fire upon China, which would have caused an international incident if the Chinese reacted or people from the UN read it.
You're talking about ABS-CBN.
About ABS-CBN and their tweet. First of all, it's totally illegal and immoral. There is no provisions for negative ads, and you look at all the laws, even the KBP, even the guidelines for advertising, no? It'll be too long for me to read the legal, no? But
Yeah.
I went through it. It's not allowed.
ABS-CBN responds saying the anti-Duterte ad complies with election laws. Here's a quick rundown of today's 1 p.m. news. The Commission on Elections tells presidential candidates votes are not transferable. The Duterte camp says Roxas' invitation to a united front is the frantic call of a man on the verge of defeat. And Leni Robredo explains why she's doing better than her running mate. She says Roxas' years in public service works to his disadvantage. To watch more, click on the link on this video. And that's the top of the hour update. I'm Natasha Gutierrez. Join us again at 5 p.m. An hour ago, Rappler talked to former Commissioner Gregorio Larrazabal. Here's the first part of that interview. Watch it here.
We're very happy to have with us this afternoon former Commissioner of the COMELEC, Gregorio Larrazabal. It's nice to have you here. Thank you for joining us.
My pleasure.
Looking at the elections now from your perspective, you were a field officer.
Sure.
You were also a head of all of the people on the ground before you became commissioner. What are your thoughts as we move into election day?
What's important now is COMELEC ties up the loose ends. There are some concerns now which we raised to COMELEC, and it's good that they have resolved some of the issues we raised. And right now we have basically 2 days left.
Yes.
Actually 1 day, because Sundays, that's a given, nobody works anymore. So
Not
they
even
have,
COMELEC?
they're supposed to. In
Yeah.
2010, we didn't sleep anymore. We practically live in the office.
Yes.
But Saturday is the last day, because if you have something to do on Sunday, there's not enough time anymore to disseminate information or give out instructions, because everybody's already
On the
prepped
ground.
on the ground, ready for the elections on Monday.
Yes, yes. Now, in terms of preparation, is COMELEC ready at this point? Today's Saturday.
They say they're ready.
Yes.
For
Do
us,
you think they're ready?
I think they have to address some concerns.
Okay. And what are those concerns?
Well, right now we asked for some technical data, the MAC addresses of the machines, the IP addresses. We need the server logs, etc. Technical, but until now they haven't given it to us. They just released a resolution yesterday regarding the rule on replacement of ballots. We raised that up April 13 yet. They just released it yesterday. The point there is they have to disseminate that information to the people on the ground.
Okay.
The trainings of the BIs, last minute trainings, they have to include that. I'm not so sure they can do that, but have to try.
How do they get to their BEIs at this late date if there are rulings that COMELEC announces? How do they get to them?
It's difficult. It's difficult. For example, the most common method of disseminating information now is through the traditional media and social media. However, there are areas where not everybody watches the news. Not everybody is on the web. Not everybody tunes into what's on Facebook or Twitter.
Internet.
Yeah, not everybody does that. But these people are part of the electoral process. The BIs, the teachers,
Yes.
and the volunteers and the watchers. These people have to be aware of the new rules, because if there's a discrepancy or there's a disinformation or lack of dissemination of information, what will happen is that it will cause confusion, and with the tight race now, you're sure the tempers will fly,
Yes.
and that will cause problems. Because in 2010, we noticed that after the elections was done, there were some complaints of harassment of BIs. Not by armed individuals, not by goons or armed groups, but by voters because of the long lines, etc. You expect the same thing now. We're hoping it won't, but you expect the same thing now, that people will complain. And the BIs have to be informed of the rules, so they will be able to answer it correctly and uniformly.
I remember in the past elections, one of the major problems was getting the machines or even getting the ballots to the places, to the polling precincts on time.
Yes.
Has that been addressed, and is that in place?
We're conducting the third automated elections now.
Yes.
So that should not be a problem anymore. There are some, I've seen some reports of some delivery of machines even until now. Some contingency machines, backup machines, even here in Pasig. But the problem there is that the citizens' arm was not informed, PPCRV. So,
Well, PPCRV has been complaining that COMELEC has not coordinated with them enough for them to participate.
well, the trust before, even when I was a field official, is what the rule. Our rule was that whatever the citizen arm wants, give it to them, because they are helping us do our job better.
Okay, so is PPCRV in very close coordination with COMELEC at this time?
I hope so, because I think they.
Do you know so?
I hope so, because they raised some concerns that they're not being given information, and that's not a good sign.
Okay.
Because if they're complaining that they haven't received enough information to coordinate or to monitor the delivery, deployment, and storage of machines and other paraphernalia, then that's a concern that has to be addressed.
Goyo, do all of the precincts have a backup machine?
No. The rule is that there has to be at least one backup machine per municipality and or city. Some big cities will have more backup machines. There's only about, I think, 5,000 machines as backup, and you cannot distribute that to all the voting centers. But you can use machines from the neighboring precinct after the end of voting. Then you feed the ballots into the machine. There's a protocol for that. But you have to wait for that precinct
To close,
to finish. Yes.
I see. So if there are no machines, or if a machine malfunctions in one precinct, you can still continue with the voting?
Yes, but instead of feeding the ballot into the machine, you feed the ballot into the ballot box. At the end of the voting, once a new machine is brought in, you do the initialization procedures, then you feed the BI feeds the ballots into the machine by themselves.
Okay. One of the biggest issues in the past elections were the source codes. I remember that there was a lot of talk about that. That has been settled.
There was a source code review now. In fact, this is the only time I can recall that there was a public review of the source code. 2010, there wasn't. I have to emphasize that we offered a source code review in 2010, but there were no takers. Even after the elections, after I think 6 months, we kept the facilities open. Nobody wanted because the election's done. I'm happy that they offered a source code review now. There are some concerns. There were some issues raised. But let's delve on the positive, which is at least COMELEC conducted a public source code review.
Okay. So, first step off, the machines are in place, the ballots have been delivered,
Yes.
and the first phase of this election is in place.
Yes.
Can you say that with certainty?
So the ballots are delivered to the different municipal treasurer's office. The machines are in the various various polling places, and that's it, right? Yes.
The BEI training has been completed.
The BI training has been completed, but I am not so sure on the quality of the training.
Okay. What about stories that these some BEIs and some teachers are reluctant to serve because of the dangerous nature of some of the precincts that they're assigned to?
That has happened in the past, especially in manual elections, wherein which specifically hotspots are areas where the teachers do not want to serve for obvious reasons. However, we noticed also in the past that there are some areas where the teachers were specifically targeted so they will not serve. And when they do not serve, the replacement BIs come in. In some cases, I'm not saying all, but in some cases, they tend to favor one or another candidate. And that's the scenario building. They did it specifically so the teachers will be afraid, so they won't serve, and somebody takes over.
So what safeguards are in place so that these teachers are, not reluctant to serve, because it is a big sacrifice on their part to be able to be poll watchers and to be able to be administrators of the elections?
The most important thing is their security has to be taken care of. What does this mean? There has to be adequate PNP and AFP personnel, not within the area, but within distance. So if there's a problem, they can immediately assist
within support distance.
Yes.
Okay.
In some cases, especially in far-flung areas, you can't because there are some areas where it takes about a day or two to walk to the polling place.
Yes.
There are some you have to take a motorized bangka to go to the island barangay.
Yes.
In some, it's a war-torn area, specifically in some areas in Mindanao, I'm sorry, where teachers, being on the safe side, prefer not to serve because of their safety.
What happens then?
Well, then the COMELEC appoints a substitute BI. In some cases, they appoint members of the PNP or PNP reserves who act as the BI for that particular precinct. The problem with it is, have those replacement BIs or PNP personnel, have they been trained? You know, it's automated elections.
Okay. At this point in time, would they have been able to tell that there are areas like this, and would they
yes.
have been able to address the situation before Monday? Or does that just happen on Monday?
No. Right now, basically what I would do before, if I were assigned to a particular area, even as a field official, I would look at the statistical data for previous elections.
Yes.
Chances are, if there was a problem in this precinct in 2 successive elections, there's going to be a problem in the next election.
Yes.
So I use that as historical data as basis, and I look at the current political infighting or the political situation,
The landscape.
the political landscape. If it's a hotly contested race for a particular position, if it is, then you look at the bailiwicks of the 2 or 3 or 4 candidates. So chances are, if the bailiwick of one candidate, the other candidate will try to disrupt the proceedings in the precincts of that bailiwick. So you just have to try to anticipate their moves.
So what do you do in case, you know, you're a small contingent compared to the armies and compared to the supporters of an area that you're trying to control?
Yes. However, what you do is you maximize the resources. For example, you have a battalion or you have a company of soldiers. You maximize and allocate them in places where you think there will be problems.
Is there always enough in terms of support?
There is backup. There's backup, and there's a way naman to make sure that there will be support that will be brought in. However, if a army or PNP contingent or battalion or whatever is sent to an area, they still have to get authority from COMELEC before being deployed. If they don't, that's illegal.
Aha. Okay, in that case, can COMELEC give the authority right
yes,
away, or there's
yes.
a lag time?
Yes, they have to, and that's why they have to act fast. Speed is key here. With technology now, you just call the field official, or the field official calls a commissioner or a senior staff. Within 5 minutes, you have to have action. You can easily, if you call me, in a minute or 2, I can call the company commander or the regional director, have sent to that particular province or particular city or municipality. That's it. You don't have to wait. You don't have to draft a report. No, you just call.
Just call.
Just
okay.
call.
The other issue that plagues our elections is missing precincts, cannot find your name, don't know where your precincts are. How has COMELEC addressed that?
Well, the website is up already. I'm not so sure if it's fully functioning. I'm not. I think it is, but as of the past, I think Tuesday, it was not yet full. The precinct finder was not yet. But there have been some media organizations that have provided a precinct finder.
Yes.
My suggestion is voters can... Normally, when you vote in one polling place, in one elections, the next elections, you're going to vote in the same place.
Yes.
You're not going to be moved, unless, of course, that building is burnt or there's a flood and destroys everything. So you're going to vote in the same polling place, in the same room of that polling place, with the same BI. Chances are, when you go there, your name's going to be in the list, outside the room. If it's not outside the room, check with the list inside, the EDCVL. Because the posted CVL on the door, it has happened in many instances where people replace that list with a bogus list.
Okay.
So if you go to the precinct,
and you
say,
don't find your name?
Where's my name? It's not here in the. It's not in the list. It's not. I'll go home now. It's hot. I want.
Yes.
But your list is actually inside, because what
the real list.
The real list, because there's a posted CVL, and there's an election day CVL. The election day CVL is the one that has your face.
CVL stands for
computerized voters list.
Okay.
That list inside the EDCVL is what controls and what determines whether or not you can vote or not in that precinct. If you're not in the EDCVL, even if you're outside, you cannot vote. But if you're not outside the outside list, but you're inside, you can vote. So that's why.
So that's nice to know that, you know, the list outside does not necessarily mean
Yes.
that your name is not there if it's not outside on
Yes.
that list. Okay.
But many people don't understand this. They don't know this. So
Yes. Okay. Well, I didn't know that. I thought that that matched the one inside.
that's why it's important, because the printing of the posted CVL is done in the field, and the printing of the EDCVL is done by central office.
Okay. Now, with the hacking of the COMELEC site, website, where all of the voters' names and their particulars were exposed, how does that impact on the CVL list now and all of the registration data that has gone wild?
It will not affect the list inside the precinct. Excuse me. The EDCVL, it won't, because the EDCVL was printed by the main office using their database. So you can't anymore alter that. That's it. That's final. You can't anymore fix that. You can't anymore manipulate that. That's it. The problem here, it might be used by some unscrupulous individuals to create confusion. But again, if we focus on the basics, go to the polling place where you voted in previous election, go to the classroom where you voted, look for the list outside. If you're not outside, go inside and have your name, have the BI check if your name is in the EDCVL. That's the basics.
Okay.
Focus on the basics, you'll be okay.
Okay, Goyo. Now let's go to what everybody is thinking about. Cheating.
Yes.
With the new machines, with the new technology that COMELEC has employed, can cheating happen?
There are several types of cheating. For example, vote buying is still cheating.
Okay.
Utilization of a person other than the voter and allowing it to vote is still cheating. Feeding multiple ballots by one person is still cheating, but that doesn't have anything to do with the software or the hardware being used in the selection, but that's still cheating. But that deals with the process.
Let's see now. Okay, how do you overcome those methods of cheating? For example, if I'm not who I am and I vote in place of somebody else, can't they tell?
You can, but you can, and that's the duty of the watchers. The watchers of the different political parties and candidates have to be aware. Normally, the rule is that you get a watcher who is a registered voter in that particular barangay or precinct. So he is familiar with the names of the identities of the voters. If I go in and I say, I'm Jose Rizal, can I vote? If the watcher does not contest that and the BI lets me vote, then there's something wrong already there. So the BI has to be aware, because you know there's a picture of the voter in the EDCVL.
Yes.
It's a bit grainy, it's black and white, it's a bit grainy, but you have an idea, like, you know, I can't say.
Do they necessarily match your face to the person appearing before the BEI?
Because the biometrics was mandated, and that started I think 2003. So 10 years won't matter that much, right? So if I go there and say,
but they check.
They check. You have kasi the biometrics and the demographics, like for example the birthday, etc. It's there. So I can't go there and say I'm Jose Rizal, Jose Rizal is a 89-year-old person. So I can't.
And you're a 22-year-old, yes?
Yes.
Okay.
I like that.
Okay. Feeding multiple ballots. Who can do that?
Individuals who want to cheat.
Like, for example, I will bring my own ballots, my own...
No. For example, the ballot have been allocated, right?
Yes.
But for example, the BI, while running the elections, armed men enter the precinct and says, points a gun at the BI, says, give me the ballots. The BI, I wouldn't tell them to oppose, because you know that's their life.
Yes.
So the armed man gets the ballots, fills up all the ballots, feeds it to the machine by himself. The BI cannot do anything, because obviously there's an armed threat against them.
Yeah.
But that's cheating right there, because the one person is feeding multiple ballots.
Has it happened?
I think in some cases it has, and there have been audit logs that were shown to me, and I can tell that there's something wrong with the process, because I can look at the audit, because the audit log is basically the audit of what happened throughout the whole process in that precinct.
I see.
I look at the audit log, I can tell you there's something wrong here, here, here. So I can tell you why. I can probably give you an idea why there's something wrong there, and I'll tell you what caused that. And if I talk to the BAI, that they will confirm.
Okay,
There's a way to do it.
All right, go ahead, continue.
But the problem here is like, it's a bit technical and it's tedious. And some people, pagod na yan, hayaan mo na yan, di ba? Let them.
Yeah. Okay, but you know, when you compare to the manual system, which we did for years and years, cheating was more rampant then than now. Is that a fair statement to make?
Well,
I mean, it was easier then.
Well, automated elections eliminated some forms of cheating. But it increased the number of incidents of vote buying. As in, really, it just blew up. Vote buying now, it's just crazy.
All right, but having said that, it increased the ability to, or the necessity to buy votes. The secrecy of the ballot. If I feed in my own ballot, who can tell who I voted for?
There's a way.
There's a way.
There's a way, but again, especially in some areas in the Philippines, up north, even Central Visayas, depends. Even areas that you wouldn't think that they do that, but there is a way to verify, and there is a way to check if there is collusion with the people inside the precinct.
Would you like to talk about that, or is that something that you'd like to keep?
Okay. It's okay, but the problem with it is we don't want to give them ideas of how to do it. Yes,
but it can be done.
It can be done.
Because in the past, we always hear about, you know, you have to bring in a carbon paper to write who you voted for, so you have proof.
And you don't even have to bring a carbon paper. You just bring in a
cell phone.
No, before you for manual, for manual or automated.
For manual or for automated now.
For manual,
bring in a cell phone so I can take a picture of who I voted for.
That's prohibited. However, if
no cell phones allowed,
no picture taking of the ballot. However, if you're not if you're not stopped, then you can still take a picture, right?
I see. Okay.
So
here's for you. That's for you.
So
yeah,
you can still do that. There are other ways, but you can even in manual you had the cadena de amor.
What is that?
Basically, what happened in manual.
You pass on the.
Yeah. So what I do is I buy your vote.
Yeah.
But I'd give you a ballot. So that's filled up already. When you go inside the precinct, you fill up. You give the ballot you drop in the ballot
box.
And
then you bring out the other ballot, but it has a number.
But who checks?
Doesn't the BEI check the number?
No, because after you fill up the ballot, you feed the ballot into the ballot box without showing the ballot to the BEI.
But don't they tear out a piece of paper at the top of the ballot? I mean, we're going back to the manual system, right? Don't they tear out a piece of the ballot?
There's a way around that. There's a way around. I mean, say there are ways.
I'm sure. I mean, you know.
But vigilance. I don't want to sound
like a broken record, but go ahead.
But vigilance is key. As long as the watchers are aware, they know what to look out for, they will at least minimize incidents of cheating. The problem with some watchers is they don't know what to watch out for. They don't know what to look out for. They don't know what they should focus on. They just look at the voter. Okay, pumasok. Okay, then after that, they end up chatting with other watchers.
Yes, because it's a long day.
It's a long day.
It's a very long day.